Hey, ¿qué pasó, amigos? Today I'm going to discuss dosages and the time-dose relationship that I mentioned in my video about healthy eating for kids. And the example that I'll be using to discuss this subject is the use of artificial dyes and colorings, which, believe it or not, the average person has no idea that those things are even a problem. After all, why would it be in the food if it was dangerous, right? Or it's just a small amount, how could it be bad for you? I mean, even too much water can kill you. Unfortunately, food colorings are dangerous. And if you're in the habit of consuming food-like products rather than actual real food, then you're exposing yourself to little micro doses of these things all day long. And not to mention all the other bad stuff, like THBQ and other additives and stuff. And so this is a huge problem. And it may be part of the reason behind that mysterious cancer diagnosis that kind of came out of nowhere, or that autoimmune disease. And here's why. When talking about dosages or exposures, we're either talking about an acute dose, so one time, or a chronic dose, so many times. And the safety of the dose is affected by the dose-time relationship, or how much for how long. Now, a harmful acute dose would be a large amount for a single exposure. A harmful chronic dose would be small amounts over a long period of time. An acute and chronic exposures, they're not equal. Both can be harmful, but to different systems of the body, like lead or alcohol, or one can be harmful while the other's beneficial, like water or salt. And so with food dyes, these things are generally regarded as safe for consumption, or GRAS, by the FDA. And thus, they're allowed for use as a food additive, even though some of them are known carcinogens. Seriously. However, GRAS standards are based on exposures at extremely high levels, known as LD50, or lethal dose 50. And this is the amount that it takes in an acute dose, or a one-time dose, to kill 50% of the rats being subjected to that chemical. And so in the case of food dyes, the LD50 amount is extremely high. But who's going to drink a 55-gallon drum of food dye in one sitting? It's not going to happen. The food additives are also evaluated independently as just like a single chemical, or in this case, a color. Nobody's bothering to evaluate them in tandem with other chemicals to understand what kind of negative synergistic effects they may have on the human body whenever you ingest multiple additives together, such as when you sit down to eat a bag of Skittles or a snow cone with all those brightly colored flavors pumped on there, or a bowl of cereal. And of course, in case you didn't know, I mean, it's really no secret that the big corporations that own these food companies have a lot of influence at the FDA. You know, the government agency that's supposed to be protecting us with science, meaning that you can't really trust just what exactly is considered safe. I mean, you can. I'll pass. So with regards to food colorings, they're everywhere, right? Sports drinks, sodas, Pop-Tarts, Nutri-Grain cereal bars, cereals, candy, salad dressings, ice cream, jelly, yogurt, baked goods, especially those with frostings, chips, Lunchables, fruit roll-ups, gummy bears, macaroni and cheese, condiments, pickles, conventional whipping cream in half and half, in case you thought those things were just naturally white. You don't see them in organic stuff though. Vitamins, toothpaste, cough syrup, on and on and on. If it's got color in it, it's likely got food dye in it. And remember, this is also true for some body care products and pet foods. So you should know that whatever you put on your skin also gets absorbed into your body within seconds to minutes. And so because they're everywhere, you've likely been consuming these things for a very long time in very small amounts, which can mean big problems over the long term. Like, again, a mysterious cancer diagnosis that just comes out of nowhere, or some autoimmune disease, or discovering tumors growing in your stomach or your neck or your liver, you know. They've also been shown to damage your chromosomes. And in kids, we see a lot of hyperactivity and ADD, ADHD, bipolar anxiety, and other behavioral problems, which again, teachers, school administrators, I'm begging you, stop giving these things to your kids in class as treats and rewards. Stop allowing them to be served at lunch. And if you don't, what business do we have getting on to kids when they act up in class or can't sit still for a few hours at a time? I mean, it's literally not their fault because their tiny brains are short-circuiting. It's your fault if you're giving them these things. I mean, how on earth can you really expect them to learn anything when that's happening? If you don't want to give them snacks or rewards, or if you want to, then there are a lot of better options out there for you, and I'm happy to have that conversation if you like. And remember, we're just talking about food dyes here. What about all the other petroleum-based additives and artificial flavorings and sweeteners, and the preservatives and stabilizers and thickeners and don't forget there's a lot of products that are also fortified, right, with artificial synthetic vitamins and minerals to trick you into thinking, ooh, it's healthy. Because crap doesn't have any nutritional value. And then we take all that and we mix it together with GMO corn or wheat or, thanks to Uncle Klaus, crushed up insect powder, and we cut it out into fun shapes. And this is why I don't call these things food. They're not food. They're food-like products. Actually, honestly, they're chemistry experiments pretending to be food. It ain't food. So take a look at the ingredients of the things that you buy and look for FD and C, which stands for food, drug, and cosmetic, because that's what they're in. And then a color and a number. And if you see it on there, don't buy it. And for sure, don't consume it or put it on your body. Look for natural food colorings instead, like beet juice or saffron or spirulina or turmeric. You know, the dose makes the poison is true. As we all know that consuming a lot of water all at once can kill you. And for those of you who say, well, I grew up eating these things and I'm just fine. Are you though? Really? Because the average health of the average American says that's not really true. Also, food dye consumption has soared fivefold since 1955. So most of us weren't exposed to these things on the same level as kids today, which may be one reason out of many why we see so many kids struggling with behavioral issues today. The truth is, sometimes poison is poison, and dosages can be misleading if you don't understand how the game is rigged to favor those with deeper pockets than you and I. And remember, even though the FDA has declared these things to be safe for consumption, there are nearly 100 other food colorings that were also once approved and considered safe, and then they discovered that they weren't, and so they're not allowed to be used anymore. And look, food colorings are just one example. Our entire food supply is filled with examples like this, which means you're receiving multiple exposures, multiple times a day, of a whole litany of generally recognized as safe chemicals every time you eat. And yet, people are genuinely shocked when one day they're diagnosed with some debilitating disease. So the next time you think, oh, it's just a tiny amount, remember, it's not just a tiny amount one time. It's lots of tiny amounts, lots of times for a lifetime, which makes it pretty damn difficult to figure out exactly what your exposure is. And rather than take on the math to make sure the general public isn't ingesting toxic amounts of these additives, the FDA just punted that ball, and they want you to trust them. Go ahead, I won't. Because the bottom line is that if you eat standard American diet, there is no such thing as just a tiny amount. And the idea of consuming any poison in any amount could somehow be a solid strategy for creating good health, let alone even a good idea, is something that far too many people mindlessly believe without even investigating deeper, without even questioning the logic or the absurdity of that statement. Even when the truth is staring right back at them in the mirror. Toodles, y'all.